enjoy their lunch? No? Yes? Oh, a few people. My goodness, poor laureates, come on. Oh, I neglected poor Janice Ruan is here. Hi, Janice. Thank you so much for coming. And that my wife, Lei Sun, and her sister, Lei Chi, are here. And Rose and Christina, our laureate spouses, are here. So now we're going to have the presentation of the laureate diplomas. You got the laureate sculpture. Now you got your diploma up here, and I'm going to call you up one at a time. And all week long, I've been, starting with Maria Andrade, and I get worried, that Robert Mwanga, is the last one to call up. So I reversed the order for now. So let me invite Dr. Robert Mwanga to come up and receive your diploma from our chairman, John Ruan. Come up here. Right here. Yeah. Turn around and get in the picture. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, just come over here and wait, and we'll have a group picture. Yeah. So, Jan Lowe. See, I've got them all disoriented by doing its reverse. I'm not sure who's supposed to get up, who's next. You have to keep the laureates off balance. Yeah, okay.
All right. Great, thank you.
Okay. Over here. Howdy, Boas. Oh, wow. Oh. Showing off.
All right, look here now, look here. Great.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, don't go down. Yeah, over here. And Maria Andrade. Stand in here. There we go.
There, that's great.
Okay, so now you stay, Maria, and we'll bring the other laureates back. And John, you have to go to the end of the line. Can you imagine? Do you hear what Ken Quinn said to John Ruan? Go to the end of the line. Hey, John, you have to be in the picture, though. Okay, all right, now everybody straighten your diplomas out. So just like last night. See them all last night holding up we practiced for an hour to get that.
Okay, look at me. Be happy, yay. Thank you.
Okay, now, so we're going to leave this way because John has something to share with you. Yes, and then you can go, yeah. Yeah, this is, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. You're all done, John. You can go back. Now it's time for our program. So let me invite Dr. Swaminathan and Professor Ruth Oniang'o, Al Clausi, and Jean Freymond. Please come up on the stage. Yeah. I wouldn't give the envelope back. Who is this guy who's taking these things away from them? Does he have a badge? Or? Mm-hmm. And I want to be sure everyone knows who signed up for the Iowa Farm Tour and who's here, that the buses load promptly at 2 p.m. From the 7th Street side of the Marriott. Enter from the hallway off the lobby before the elevators. So that's down the secret way that President Gurib Fakim came in yesterday with the Secret Service. So, and they'll return about 5 p.m. So please, Al, Jean, Ruth, and Swami should be coming this way. Getting up high speed there with Dr. P.
Especially made for you.
Yes. So this is the 30th anniversary of Norman Borlaug going to Africa, 30th anniversary of informing the World Food Prize, and also celebrating the first World Food Prize being given to Dr. Swaminathan and Chairman Al Clausi. So we have Ruth is the chair of Sasakawa Africa Association. Jean Freymond has been associated with the SAA and based in Geneva and knows all the history. So what we're going to do is two things. First, in keeping with the theme of the symposium, Dr. Swaminathan is going to offer some thoughts and a brief presentation and on nutrition. And then we're going to talk about that 30 years ago, what happened. I was, of course, in grade school then, so remember. So, Swami, I'm going to sit here next to you.
Do I start it?
Yes.
I think the microphone is on.
Your microphone is on?
Is the microphone on?
Yeah.
Towards the back?
Yeah.
They're not raising.
Yeah.
Can
In the back, can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Put your hands up if you can hear.
Thank you. Thank you.
I should say, put your hands up, you're paying attention. Yeah.
Thank you. May I first of all offer my personal congratulations and also many of the other laureates, to the new laureates, to the 4 of them today, whom you just saw. Very proud of the work you have done. And as one who has seen the birth and growth of this prize during the last 30 years, I have every right to say that we are very proud of the present year's laureates. You have shown the way, the agricultural pathway to overcoming the severe malnutrition prevailing in the country. So may I first of all the 4 of you, offer my congratulations on my personal behalf as well as the other laureates. Secondly, I must thank both Dr. Ruan, the whole family, for what you have done to ensure, because having seen the 30 years growth of this prize, I know the turbulent days of the early years, very turbulent days, and Dr. Borlaug used to ring me up now and then and update what was happening. And you came to the rescue of the prize. Today we will not be here but for the Ruan family. So thank you for what you have done. Above all, who has given life to that prize. I say life to the prize, Ambassador Quinn. He has really elevated the prestige of the prize. He has always set, from the day one when he joined, he has set the goal that it should be equivalent to the Nobel Peace Prize. So I think, thank you, Ken, on behalf of you, on behalf of all your colleagues. I want to thank all your colleagues for the very dedicated work for the prize and the way in which they have organized this particular program. Every year, not only this year, but every one of the, and of course all our donors, including the person who provided nutrition today. Can you stand up? You are wonderful. Thank you very much for really adding nutrition to us. Now I'm going.
Yeah, could I just ask maybe all the World Food Prize staff, I don't know if they're here.
Yes, that's what.
Yeah, if you're here, just stand up, all the volunteers and stuff, or they're already out. So, yeah, here they are over here.
Wonderful. And of course our John Ruan Borlaug Fellows. We have had in my foundation the privilege of having at least one fellow every year. They are really wonderful people. Young school students who come to learn, who have come to change, who understand what poverty is. They always call it a life-changing experience, this particular fellowship. And so the Youth Institute and the young people are the future. I want to share a few thoughts before my very good friend they blows it up. She has got a great capacity In my long career, I've had the good fortune of working not working directly, but indirectly with many African countries. And I'm very grateful from the time. One of the earliest was President Nyerere. He was so kind, and it was a real privilege to talk to him. Now, I am going to talk not only 30 years, because I said, I think Clausi and I are probably the one. There may be others, there may be only one, these two, who have seen the 30 years, all the 30 years of the growth of this prize. I thought to share a few thoughts. Now, 30 years are all right, and as you said yesterday, the next 30 years, what do we do? We are entering the Anthropocene era, what we call the Anthropocene era. That means human beings are doing a lot of interference with the growth of this era. Which one? Now, after the Borlaug-Sasakawa program, Jimmy Carter was also involved. It was started. There was a new light of hope in Africa. The UN Millennium Development Goals, the former Secretary General Kofi Annan set up a small group under Jeffrey Sachs, and Sachs in turn asked a number of us to help in developing the program. Pedro Sanchez, an awardee, a World Food Prize laureate, and I were asked to co-chair Africa halving hunger. It can be done. In other words, one of the aims of the Millennium Development Goal was to reduce hunger by half. And when we went through, it was a very thorough study of the African situation in that up to 2005. And what we saw was the effect of the Borlaug-Sasakawa program. I also was asked to give a lecture by the World Food Council at that time on sustainable nutrition security for Africa, lessons from India. And the lecture deals with the steps taken in India for improving agricultural productivity and production, with guidance from Dr. Borlaug. It shows how India's green revolution was the result of interaction between technology and public policy. I'm so happy so many presidents are here. Your Excellencies, I think the public policy support, what our scientists may do, women scientists included. This morning we discussed women scientists' role. But whether man or woman scientist, finally science, if it has to go through, including biofortification, public policy support is important. That one of the things we recommended, African agriculture promoted through the Borlaug-Sasakawa initiative. Many of you might have seen our Ryoichi Sasakawa. You know the younger one, I will show you 1 minute. He's a great man, and Borlaug and he became very great friends. And he also worked with the Ryoichi Sasakawa. Borlaug used to always call what is happening as a symphony. He said, unless there's a symphonic approach, you will not be able to make progress. So the Green Revolution acquired the term Green Revolution Symphony. It combines the three components, according to Norman Borlaug. Scientific skill is very important, like what our awardees this time have shown. Political will and farmers' participation. The package of technology can be developed by scientists, services by government, industry and farmers, while package of public policies, political leaders, administrators and international organizations. No, we have heard about, I don't know, particularly young scholars, Ruan, Borlaug scholars, and others who are here. You might have heard of the arrival of the Anthropocene era, but since I thought a large percentage of the audience here are the young people, I put a definition. At the International Geological Congress held in August 2016, this year, in Cape Town, the assembled scientists came to the conclusion that a new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, needs to be recognized as the dawn of human-influenced age. The difference is, more than nature, human beings, environmental damage, or either progress, environmental repair, or environmental damage, the human-induced changes. Anthropocene is in succession to Holocene. Well, this morning there was discussion about the role of women and in food security and so on. We have a legislation, probably quite a unique one in the world, a Food Security Act of 2013. I just wanted to highlight 3 or 4. One is a life cycle approach with special attention to the first 1,000 days, Thoreau's book, the first 1,000 days of the child's life. The senior most woman in the family will be holding the entitlement card. In other words, it recognizes very clearly the role of woman in sustainable nutrition security at the home level as well as the field level. The food basket, we have what we call the procurement at minimum support price. That's exceedingly important public policy. The minimum support price for grains. Otherwise, small farmers will become insolvent. So here you find the food basket, formerly in India, in public distribution, was confined to wheat and rice. Now a whole series of millets, a whole series of what you may call orphan crops. Scientists call them orphan crops, Maida millets and so on. Panicum, paspalums, Citeria, a whole series of them have been included in the public distribution system. In other words, procurement of public distribution. Enlargement of the food basket is very important. Next month we have in Delhi the first International Congress on Agro-Biodiversity that will deal with this issue. The senior Sasakawa, I told you, was also a member of the International Commission on Peace and Food, which I chaired. Federico Mayor of the UNESCO played an important part in setting it up, and his main concern of the senior Sasakawa was the peace dividend which was emerging as a result of the breakdown of the Berlin Wall and the Gorbachev era, the emergence of the Gorbachev era, that peace dividend should be used for food production. Whatever we are saving from army, from defense to development, in development, agriculture development. And he also gave a very substantial amount of money. If you go to the WHO headquarters in Geneva, you will find a statue of Sasakawa, largely because smallpox eradication. Today we don't talk about smallpox. He played a very important part by providing the funds needed for the purpose. And then Hunger Free World, support to Borlaug and Stimit, which is well known to you. The younger Sasakawa, who is still supporting the whole area, Hunger Project, his interest is essentially eradication of leprosy. His father wanted eradication of smallpox, and he wanted eradication of leprosy. He is called a WHO Goodwill Ambassador for leprosy. Remarkable work in Africa, support to the African Hunger Project, which he has done. So certain families, they have to deal with their money, what Mahatma Gandhi called in my country, you be a trustee of your money and not owner. Don't feel that you are the owner. You hold in trusteeship. You eat as much as you want, but then the remaining money you use it for.
Yeah. So would this be a time to...
Another 5 minutes, just 1 minute.
Okay.
You all know the 3 major dimensions of hunger.
It's just like Noah.
The whole area of... but how do we deal with it? One is a question of agriculture, nutrition, health. I heard several people talk about. But you have to have a methodology for dealing with how do you mainstream agriculture in nutrition. That's what I call farming system for nutrition. The hidden hunger, biofortification, which we honored today. There are 3 methods of achieving biofortification. One is by naturally occurring plants. Some of them are mentioned here. Superhero is moringa. Even National Geographic had a very interesting article on moringa. It contains all the micronutrients which are needed because you require not only protein and calories but also micronutrients, and that's one. And tamarind and so on. So either you can go naturally occurring biofortified plants or biofortified varieties selected by breeding or genetically modified. The first one, Ingo Portricus and his colleague, the golden rice. You all know the problems of the rice, but today modern technology is coming. Even if genetic modification is not acceptable, there are other methods of overcoming the problem. In other words, induced mutations can be like induced mutations. The CRISPR technique has become number one in science today. The most important breakthrough in science is the new technology of transferring genes across sexual barriers without going to recombinant DNA technology. Here, most importantly, foreign DNA which is present. I think the younger people here who are concerned about GMO, you should be aware that there are other methods. Marker-assisted selection as well as these can help you to achieve the same purpose without. Now, how do we follow our laureates' work? How do you, what we are doing in my center, to which some of the younger people have come, a genetic garden of biofortified crops. A genetic garden means a lot of variety. It will be like a botanical garden. It will be like a botanical garden. As we enter, there's a description. Then there is a vitamin A section. There is a vitamin D section. There is the iron section. There is, and so on. You enter different sections so that when the farmer goes through the garden, he or she can select that material which is necessary in that particular region. If it's a vitamin A deficient region, you select the plants which can provide you. If it's the iron or iodine deficiency area, you select. It's a very unique kind of garden, and I would recommend here all those who are interested in overcoming hidden hunger. One of the best methods is the plant pathway. The plant pathway, our own food, your quotation here, food is the best medicine. Uniting agriculture and nutrition, I won't go into it in detail, but the fact remains undernutrition, protein hunger, hidden hunger, and drinking water is exceedingly important, and also overcoming the problem of food quality. Asperger's, I think some mention was made of problem. I'm glad that the previous slide was uniting agriculture and nutrition. The CGIAR has started uniting agriculture, nature and poverty reduction. Mobilizing the power of partnership is the best one, whether it's private-public sector partnership or among CGIAR partnerships, all of them join together their own complementary expertise. I'll conclude by again, because I think among the people here, a lot of people know, but Dr. Norman Borlaug I happen to know from 1953, when we first met at the University of Wisconsin. John Niederhauser and Norman Borlaug and I first met, right. 1953.
At Renenbaum's drugstore. Right?
Yes. He made some discovery. Yes. Because I said, I can't remember my genetics department. I was in genetics department of the University of Wisconsin. We walked across to, for a, what you call, not dispensary, the name of the tea place.
Yeah, Renenbaum's. Yeah, Libby Crimming's found. It's not there, but we're going to put a plaque there that said, "The Green Revolution was born at Renenbaum's drugstore in Madison, Wisconsin in 1953.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, one thing I noticed even the very first meeting, apart from, he described in that meeting a very interesting method of overcoming rust. Wheat rust was his, till the last day, before his death also, there was a beautiful photograph in Science. He's sitting in the wheat field and warning the young scientists about the UG99 from Uganda, which nothing wrong with Uganda, but Uganda 99 is a very powerful race of. So both Borlaug had put Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa. Now she's Saint Teresa, Mother Teresa. The reason why I put it on is when the very first time he came in 1963, we were both traveling all along the wheat belt in the car. Then he said at one stage, "Swami, can we meet Mother Teresa somewhere here?" I said, "She is not. She's in Calcutta. She is not here. We can't. We didn't go to Calcutta. We went along the UP." But he was an admirer for her compassion and for her concern for human being. Yeah. And I have put in the case of Dr. Borlaug, two of his very, apart from many other qualities, the two he has in concern and compassion are also his strong points. But the more important is, he had a great scientific confidence and capability. Whether it was the rust disease, he knew that unless science is brought to, that's why toward the end, biotechnology is supported, not because he had himself done work in biotechnology. But I thought technological advances are exceedingly important, and the sole commitment to ending hunger. So, ladies and gentlemen, 30 years after 30 years, we salute this great man who has shown the whole pathway of how to take agriculture forward. Agriculture forward, not for going agriculture forward, but how to eliminate hunger, the elimination. And today's laureates have shown the agricultural pathway to ending silent hunger. We are grateful to them. And Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa, I think the whole world rejoiced when she became from mother to saint. And again, an example of Gandhian principle. Gandhi said to rich people, keep your money as a trustee. Similarly, whatever capability we have, how to use it for the benefit of fellow human beings who are less well off. Thank you very much for hearing.
Thank you,
Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to turn to someone who I consider as Saint Ruth, and and give us your perspective.
Ambassador Queen, that's not fair. That's not fair. Look here, shake my hand. Yeah. Honestly, truly, I'm here just by accident, and I could easily have become chair of Sasakawa Africa Association without ever meeting Dr. Borlaug, But before I do that, let me congratulate the laureates. And I recall Pierre Pinstrom Anderson calling me when he wanted to form the first PSC for you. Yeah, howdy.
Thank you.
And Pierre said, Ruth, I'm not getting off the phone until you say yes. So of course I said yes. And we have seen those of us who have been close to each one of them, but have been closest to him, that hair graying until he has the prize. And what that does say, really, no Borlaug, never give up. We just can never give up. So when people tell me, oh, traveling, you are now how old and so on, I say, look, my forebearers, Dr. Borlaug was traveling until he was 93. President Jimmy Carter is 91 now. And Laureates-Sasakawa decided to come to Africa after he was 84.
Yeah.
So in terms of this story, I had to really understand it. There was the Africa Fertilizer Summit in Abuja, where Dr. Akin Adesina was involved in 2006. And that's where Noam actually came and just held my hand like this. I said, look, Ruth, in India, Pakistan, it's the politicians who made it. And at that time, I was in the Kenyan parliament. And here I am imagining myself, where am I going to do this? I may never reach there, but I think I'm the most humbled person here. I'm the most humbled person here that I can be amongst you. And he has put there, I've never seen H.E. in front of my name, Her Excellency. I think in heaven I am. In heaven I will be. I strive towards that, Ambassador.
We hope the World Food Prize is a little like heaven when you come.
Yeah,
we try to make it like
honestly. And what you have done here is completely amazing. I wish the governments could run like this.
That's right.
Yeah, I wish the governments could run like this. Yeah. The diversity you have here.
Yeah.
Mixing all of us here.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to be a woman to think of gender. You see, you didn't. Yeah. So then, the connection here then is that when we had the Ethiopian famine in 1984, 1 million Ethiopians, especially for their young people, 1 million Ethiopians lost their lives. And a Kenyan photojournalist The reports kept going out. Ethiopia is in trouble, and nobody was listening. But Mohammed Amin, a Kenyan photojournalist, showed this on BBC. On BBC, 6 minutes. And Sasakawa was sitting in Tokyo, and he sees this. And then he calls Dr. Borlaug, can we go to Africa? Noam was already over 74. He had already done his bit. He had his Nobel Prize. I said, Africa? Africa? And Sasakawa, he puts his phone down. And the following day, Sasakawa calls again. Stubborn people. These are stubborn. You have to be stubborn. And says, can we go to Africa? Finally, he agreed. So we had Sasakawa with his money. He's a philanthropist. We still get that money 30 years later. So consistent support, like the Rwand family is doing, is absolutely necessary. So really, if you are a donor or you are supporting anything, be there for the long term. These 3-year projects, 3. No. The first year you are trying to see how you start. You are doing a second year, third year, they are coming to evaluate you and it's ended. And so really, it's not fair. Yeah, so then they got President Jimmy Carter, who agreed, and he was already doing work on guinea worm in Africa. And so they would arrive in a country and go straight to the head of state. Clearly, I cannot do that. Go straight to the head of state and say, you must do something. And so they worked in 14 countries, and I was just receiving a letter from Dr. Borlaug in 2009, a month before he died, asking me to join the board.
Wow.
A month before he died, by Chris Dowswell, our late friend, you know. And so I became a member of the board. Then 2010, when we were now commemorating Dr. Borlaug's passing in Ethiopia, Chris Dowswell was coming to me as I chaired the last session, saying, yeah, Africa, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it. And Chris, I can see him walking. Yeah. And I'm going down the stairs and says, congratulations, Madam President. I said, what? You know, I'm going to be killed in Kenya. Where did that come from? I said, oh, congratulations, Madam President. I said, where did that come from? He said, oh, you are now just replacing Noam. And I said, what? I said, oh, we just decided. And I said, who? And they said, we have just seen how you have chaired that session. So really, we just have to be ready for anything and everything. And the ambassador, I finally made the pilgrimage.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I've
Yes.
been coming here, and I've never gone to where Dr. Norman Borlaug was born. This amazing man, I think he speaks to me at night. And last year I said, I'm going this year. I arrived early, and the aura, and you could see a very naughty boy, you know, putting his initials everywhere. There were just initials everywhere. And as we were told his story, you could see he was going somewhere. There were pointers. He was going to go somewhere. His family sacrificing to send away their only boy who was going to help on the farm, you know, to go to high school. And the rest is history. So thank you, Ambassador, for welcoming us
Yes, of
here.
course.
And also, let me just finish, that when we celebrated 100 years of Noam's birth in Uganda, you came,
I came.
Ginny came, Julie came, and we like to see Ambassador in Africa anytime. You know, look at him, his white hair, his light skin, a great personality. You can't miss him in Africa. You cannot miss him. And we love you. So what we would like to do is thank you for bringing us here for people to understand the connection. We are 30 years the same way the World Food Prize is 30 years. We share Dr. Borlaug, and that we too would like to be hosting some of the interns.
Yes.
We have a great organization
All right.
working with smallholder farmers, and we have shown that women can do even better than men in terms of what they produce.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Yeah. And with the Chris Dowswell, we have a scholarship fund targeting women. And so all these connections, and thank you so much, my good friend, for bringing it all together. Thank you, Ambassador.
Yeah. So Jeannie Borlaug-Sasakawa is here. So I just have to tell you before turning to Jean and Al that when I was in Oslo, Norm told me the story of how he got connected to Ryoichi Sasakawa. And he said Ryoichi Sasakawa called him up and said, there's terrible things in Africa. We need to go there. You need to be involved. And I want you to come and join me and do this. And Norm said that he thought about it, and he'd never ever turned down doing anything like that. But he was, I'm getting a little older, and maybe I can't take on everything. And so he told me that I told Ryoichi Sasakawa, no, I couldn't do it. The next day, the phone rings, and it's Ryoichi Sasakawa again. He said to Norm, as Norm told me, Ryoichi said, I just looked at your biography. I'm 15 years older than you. You can't say no. We should have left yesterday. We're leaving tomorrow. And Norm said, what could I do? I couldn't say anything. And that's how we got started. Jean, you've been there and seeing this. And
thank you very much. And, we're not celebrating 30 years. We're celebrating 31 years. And present at the creation, Dr. Swaminathan, you were in Geneva when we had this workshop in July 85, at the end of which Ryoichi Sasakawa, in 5 minutes, said, I put the money to engage into one program, Ghana. Now, in this room is probably 2/3 of you who are below 20 years old. Let me say something. You have heard a lot about Norman Borlaug. And one thing is important to remember with Norm. He was not an ancient Greek hero. He was a human being. He loved baseball. He loved going to fish. He disliked economy. He disliked administration. When we were at the board, when we came to issue he didn't like, he said, you run the show. And he took his newspaper and read the newspaper sports page in the newspaper. So it's a normal human being. You have seen, I think, the picture next to Mother Teresa is very interesting because you see this smile. I think you have noticed this smile. He was a humorous person. And one should remember Norm as a profound human being. Now, what is for me his legacy? First of all, he was passionate. He was passionate about humanity. He was passionate about doing things. He was passionate as a breeder. That's where it started. The second thing is that he never gave up.
Never gave up.
Never gave up. And never giving up means kicking the people all around. Can be head of state, can be people working in the lab, and at the same time. And I think for me, probably the most important lesson is keep it simple. Keep it simple. We operate at the Sasakawa for 13, 15 years with great success. Probably those were the most successful years with Green Revolution in Ethiopia, Green Revolution in Ghana and other places. No piece of paper, no big strategy, no log frame, nothing. He said to the country directors, your job is to be on the ground with the farmers at 7 o'clock when they are there or at 6 o'clock when they are there. And it's how we succeeded. And we continue to succeed. Now, the question we have to ask is not about what we have achieved, but why we haven't achieved more. why during this 4 days of meeting here, 100,000 people have died from hunger-related issue. 100,000 people. Why we are unable to move things faster. And you gave some of the answer. But the answer is being on the ground and battling every day. And I think this is where we, all of us, even if you have a few years to go in your studying, is to know that you are and we are all responsible to change things. There were some remarks about governments. Governance is poor, governance will stay poor, and we should not expect more from governance. We have to take over a number of responsibilities. And this is, I think, the big legacy of Norm. Do it on the ground.
So, Al Clausi, here's Norm. He's off in Africa in early 1986, and then he comes back in the spring, and with you.
Well, I can't go back to the 50s. I can't go back to Sasakawa project. I can only go back to the middle 80s. And I go back to my former company where I was the chief research officer and chief scientist worldwide for food product development. In fact, every time you enjoy Jell-O instant pudding, that was my personal invention. My first invention.
Oh.
And honeycomb cereal as well. Anyway, that's an aside. I got 2 commercials in there. It was 1985, when Norman Borlaug, who had gotten the Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, bothered ever since 1970 when he got the prize that, why am I getting a prize for peace? Why isn't there a prize for agriculture? And he tried to sell that idea every chance he had. And as you said, he never gave up.
Never gave up.
Because in 1985, he found the chairman of my corporation, General Foods Corporation, which, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. The chairman was intrigued with what he was talking about, but typical of chairmen of many large corporations, they have a staff. And he said, this sounds like a technical issue. You're my head man in technology. What do you think about it? Well, frankly, my reaction was, there must be 1 million prizes for agriculture. I mean, it's so fundamental. It's the need is so great. I mean, well, there wasn't. There were a few minor prizes, but nothing of the Nobel quality and the Nobel size. Nobel at that time, by the way, was $200,000. I recommended, if you really want to do something important, and I think my chairman did, then this is the job. Let's start a World Food Prize, not an agriculture prize, but a food prize that covers all the chain, entire chain from growing it to getting it on the table, because that's the problem. We don't get it on the table. My chairman agreed. And so we set up a council of advisors. We found a secretariat so that there'd be a legitimate distance between a profit corporation and the prize, although the money was coming from the foundation of the corporation. And since I was within 2 years of retirement, my chairman said, you built it, you run it. And so I was a minor version of a Ken Quinn.
Oh, man.
And the first prize, which was, well, the prize was announced in 1986. So we're celebrating the 30th anniversary. But the first prize was given in 87 to Dr. Swaminathan. I remember calling him from Connecticut, USA, to, I think you were in Philippines at that time, if I'm not mistaken. on my kitchen telephone, telling him that he just won a prize that he never heard of. I to this day, I wonder what his reaction must have been at that moment. Did he think this was a joke? But to his credit, because he's a very, very insightful man, he said, well, it's very interesting, this prize. I'd like to talk some more about it. He said, I'm going to Europe next week on a business. I said, that's a coincidence. I said, I'm going to France next week on a business trip. We met in Charles de Gaulle Airport.
Wow.
Wow.
And that I think, was when he realized this was for real.
Wow. So the World Food Prize was born at Charles de Gaulle Airport.
Came all the way to-
It's like Renenbaum's drugstore.
I was going to Montpellier.
All I can add to this is that the World Food Prize has a remarkable history. If you're really interested, look it up on the internet. It rivals the Nobel Prize in many ways, not only in terms of history, but in terms of the ins and outs and the near death and survival.
And website, our new website there. So that
Anyway, end of my
we
story.
could do this all afternoon, but we've run out of time. The farm chores leave in about 5 minutes, so we can get down to those. Thank you, Swami,
Pleasure.
St. Ruth, Al, Jean, Freymond. That's here's the history of the organization. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And the Youth Institute continues. Students and teachers, I think, are supposed to stay seated, like always. That's, the teachers are envious of me. The students respond when I tell them to stay seated. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Hello, hi. Teachers who are staying for professional development with the Asia Society, please remain in your seats. Any teachers who are doing professional development, please stay in your seats. All students and teachers will exit through the front of the room this way. Just wave to Ed. Hi, Ed. Only leave when I call your group, please. I will announce them in order. Only leave when I call your group, please. We're going to start with Early Morning Harvest Farm in Panora. Only that group, please. Students and teachers, Early Morning Harvest Farm, please go to your right and find Ed for the stairwell. You will go down to the buses.
I don't think my sweet potato pie was as good as what you're saying.